Just a few thoughts on Nick Lawrie passing away recently. Others have spoken about his sad passing away online, but for me, it's another stark reminder that this life is so delicate and it hangs on a thread. Any one of us could go at any time. Any one of us could go tomorrow, such is the uncertainty of our personal initial day of judgment. As always, death is a reminder that we've got to take this life more seriously and start thinking metaphysically, beyond the mundane, beyond the material and beyond the superficial, so we become less attached to the ephemeral and become more focused on the permanency of the hereafter. I'll always remember Mr. Lawrie as a man who put his head above the parapet, and he stood up for that young British lady in Cyprus who was a victim of a grooming gang, an Israeli grooming gang. She was being maligned by a number of folks online, as well as in real life, if you like. He publicly questioned that vile suggestion that she consented to 11 men like that. You've got to respect that action. Mr. Lawrie did not have to stand up for her honour, but he did. Stand up he did. He felt duty bound to do so. He stood up and he did a good turn. Mr. Lawrie did all this in the backdrop of the Tommy movement and various other Zio-Sivnat cabals, just either maligning her or ignoring her, despite her protests against the Cypriotic authorities falsifying a confession statement.
I think it's very, as I say, it's gone under the radar. That's why I thought it was interesting to sort of discuss it. Now, how can I? Well, basically, so this girl is basically now claimed that she was forced to confess. She was forced to confess it was all made up, signed something under duress, and that's sort of the end of it. The 12 Israeli lads have been released and sent back home. Why, you might think, why am I? Well, I think it's quite. I'll tell you why it's quite interesting, because well, I believe the girl. Right, there you go. So I actually believe her. I believe she probably was forced to make a confession, because if you think about it, it's sort of a diplomatic kind of sort of, not a nightmare for them, but it's inconvenient, isn't it? Diplomatically inconvenient, and processing 12 men through the Cypriot judicial system would be costly, and they've undoubtedly had influence from Israel. And this is what I'm getting at, is why it's yet another facet as to why I don't like the British government. I've never liked the British government, because I can't imagine. Now I might be being unfair, okay, but I can't imagine the consulate or the British embassy getting involved and being proactive and trying to ensure this girl's rights are protected. Just, it's sort of a class thing, you know.
Let's be clear here. If that was a bunch of Arabs, the Zio-Sivnats would have flown over to Cyprus to support her, but they kept silent, and TR News effectively threw her under the bus. Not Mr. Lawrie though. Mr. Lawrie stood up, and he had a level of integrity that you've got to respect. He refused to believe the slanderous narrative about her, and he saw her as a victim, which indicates to me that Mr. Lawrie had a level of compassion. He had a compassionate side to him and a sense of fairness. You've got to respect that, and that is what I will remember Mr. Lawrie for.
One of the guys claimed, well, she did consent to sleep with him, and there's a photograph of him, and that I believe that she probably did consent to sleep with one of them. But I can't believe she said, "Oh, you know what? Bring in your 11 mates. Let them have a go as well." I just don't believe it. No doubt in my mind, the Israelis would have been in there wanting 12 of their sons back home. And where's the British? It's not about having clout in that old imperial way, but why weren't they in there protecting her interests?